How's it going, everybody? Brett Mix here, Macho Wrestling 101, here for another week of the Monday Night Wars. This is week 10 for the WWF, November the 13th, 1995. This was the 135th episode of Raw in its history. This Raw took place from Brandon, Manitoba, Canada, where they are still doing the Raw tapings. They've been there for a few weeks. Vince McMahon would sometimes get a month worth of tapings from one venue. Sometimes they took place like during 2 or 3 nights, sometimes just during one night. Ratings were 2.6 to 2.0 last week for Raw, breaking Nitro's 2-week winning streak. Was the WWF last week when they won 2.6 to 2.0, and this week they win 2.6 to 2.0 again. So it's the second straight week that Raw wins, and it's the exact same rating, 2.6 to 2.0, a 600,000 viewership win for the WWF. So now the WWF's record against Nitro is 5 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws if we're looking at their all-time record. And this is after 10 weeks. So this is the 10th week Raw episode that drew a 2.6. McMahon and King are back on commentary. Last week it was Doc Hendricks because the King was competing. Now King and McMahon are back. The first match is Henry Godwinn versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Helmsley and Godwinn would meet at the future pay-per-view Seasons Beatings in Your House. But this is not a pigpen match as that was. But Henry still brought the slop. Hunter sprays Henry Godwinn with fragrance as he comes near him to get rid of the smell. Helmsley viciously threw him into the steps and then did a curtsy. Henry then threatens the slop to Triple H, but Henry dumped it on himself. And Triple H couldn't believe it. So Henry Godwinn literally just took the bucket and dumped it on his head, and the slop is dripping down his forehead. Henry loved it and slips. Triple H couldn't believe it. Henry loved it, and Helmsley runs away from it and slips on some of it on the outside mat, and then runs away down the aisle and slips down, and the ref even slipped on the slop. It looked like old chicken soup, homemade chicken soup, not chicken noodle soup, but like homemade chicken soup, with the onions and carrots and all that. It looked pretty gross. It looked like an old chicken soup, but it was probably something like that. I can't see it being real. Yeah, it was sloppy anyway. That the match, and I didn't mean the pun. I mean that's the legit word. I'm not trying to be funny there, because that wasn't funny. The match is a double count out at 1 minute 53 seconds. So no rating for that match because it wasn't really a match. Henry Godwinn just kind of scared Helmsley, which leads up to their pigpen match at In Your House Seasons Beatings. This is the go-home show, by the way, to Survivor Series. Doc Hendricks did a slam jam and showed clips of superstars talking about Survivor Series, DiBiase, Cornette. They do a video package of HBK forfeiting the IC title and saying he's going to be back in action next week. There's always such controversy with Shawn Michaels. There's always there's this thing with the IC title, the concussion, the beatdown with the Marine, losing his smile, the injury to his knee, the screw job. HBK was like a controversy magnet. And there's always something happening with him. Just like John Cena, Shawn Michaels was always around controversy. Maybe more so than Cena, but seems like both of those are polarizing individuals. Ahmed Johnson took on Jake Steele next. Steele the jobber. Ahmed Johnson, slowly in no hurry, just hits Steele with power moves and then a spine buster and a Pearl River plunge and wins at 3 minutes. I gave it a half a star. Todd Pettengill does a slam jam while Doc Hendricks is in the commentary booth, so Pettengill goes over the Survivor Series lineup. Now they do Bret and Diesel's for Survivor Series build. Diesel's reign of terror finally coming to an end. Both guys share the split screen and the interview by McMahon. Diesel says Big Daddy Cool is right now better than Bret because he has the title. Bret says that Diesel's run has been impressive, but he's holding his belt. McMahon actually has some impressive questions that make you want to watch the match at Survivor Series. It's a good interview by Bret and Diesel. Both as faces aren't known for their interview skills, but they did a good job here when you consider that. McMahon and King meet with karate fighters, Milton Bradley karate fighters. They're backstage and they do a skit where they're fighting with McMahon, and King are just watching Vince McMahon do a Milton Bradley karate fighters with somebody is comical in itself. Him and King, they were just known as broadcasters back then, right? So people just thought, oh, it's just a broadcaster. But knowing he's the owner and everything, it just makes it funnier. And knowing what we now know about Vince, it just makes it funnier. It was comedy gold seeing Vince go at it, and the King cheated. He taped his Milton Bradley karate fighter. He put tape on the bottom, so you win by knocking the guy off the pedestal, and King taped the foot of the guy to the pedestal so he wouldn't get knocked off, and McMahon went, "You cheated!" Anyways, King Mabel took on Roy Raymond. Not sure why I'm in a hurry to get to that match, but anyways, they do the match, unfortunately. Roy Raymond and King Mabel. They talk about The Undertaker's return at Survivor Series and how he'll get revenge on Mabel. King Mabel makes short work of Roy Raymond after a big splash and then a belly-to-belly suplex after a couple minutes. I gave it half a star. This night is not star ratings friendly, but there's more to wrestling than star ratings. It's just funny, though, because the 10th week of Nitro, this is the 10th week of Raw in Wars. It's the 11th Nitro that I'm talking about, but the 10th week in the actual Wars, so that week 10 of the Wars for Nitro, had tons of quality wrestling. There was Benoit and Sasaki, Savage Ming, Sting Malenko, Guerrero, and Johnny B. Bad. While this Raw had like Jobber, and then Sid versus Razor Ramon in the main event. So there's more to wrestling than just the jobber matches. There's the entertainment. There's the Bret-Diesel promo that happened. There's the karate fighters. There's things like that. There's character work. There's Survivor Series build. There's promos. There's a lot of other things than just star ratings. So I take that into account when I rate the show out of 10. The main event is Sid with Ted DiBiase against Razor Ramon. The 1-2-3 Kid is the special referee. Sid beats down Ramon with power moves. This match isn't for a title. One-handed chokeslam by Sid. Sid clobbers away at the kidneys of Ramon. Razor goes for the Razor's Edge, but his back body dropped to the floor. DiBiase behind the Kid's back had shots. Dean Douglas then came to the ring and beat on Ramon while the Kid was distracted with DiBiase on the outside. Ramon is beat down on the outside. Sid then told the Kid to ring the bell due to Ramon being out of it, but the Kid wouldn't do it. Sid then with forearms to the kidneys of Ramon, a big side suplex, a leg drop by Sid. Sid into a camel clutch on Razor Ramon. Razor countered it by standing up and dropping Sid right on his head. Ramon then went for the Razor's Edge, but the Kid put his leg down, and then the Sid hit a powerbomb on Ramon, and the Kid counted 1, 2, 3 in a second and a half. He just went like this. And the Kid, so 1, 2, 3 Kid screwed over Ramon. Luckily, Ramon's title wasn't on the line. So Sid wins at a star, and I give it a star and 3/4. He won it about 5.5 minutes. The match was decent at best. So again, this night wasn't about star ratings. To close out Raw, DiBiase shoved a Canadian $5 bill in his mouth. This episode wasn't about in-ring quality, even though the opposing Nitro had tons of it. It was about promoting the Survivor Series, which they did a good job of. This Raw barely passes. I'm going to be nice and give it a 5 out of 10. That's just what I'll give it. There's more to wrestling than star ratings, and that's the part of the show that I'll make it pass. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying these reviews. They're always going to be in their archive, the old Nitros and the old Raws, like I've always say. Anytime you guys want to rewatch the Monday Night Wars, they're there. You can leave comments. You can hit like and subscribe. You can do anything like that. I'd appreciate it. As for Raw, the second week, it beats Nitro by the same rating, 2.6 to 2.0. And again, I give it a 5 out of 10 just to make it pass. The all-time record now is WWF 5 wins, WCW 3 wins, and 2 draws through 10 weeks of the Monday Night Wars. Thanks to everyone watching along. I hope everyone is enjoying the reviews. And we'll see you next week for the next Raw. I'm Brett Mix, and I'm out.